I was staring at my computer screen when my phone buzzed. It was a message from Jessica, the only person in the office who actually gave a damn about me. What I saw in that photo made my blood run cold. There was Scarlett, my baby sister, holding the exact laptop I had been saving for 18 months to buy for myself. The one I had skipped lunches for, worked overtime for, dreamed about. Behind her was a massive banner that read, "Happy birthday to our one and only princess," in glittering letters. My parents, David and Susan Jensen, stood on either side of her, beaming like she had just won the Nobel Prize. Jessica's message came through, "Hey Riley, isn't today your birthday too? Did your parents forget again? And is that the laptop you were saving for?" I couldn't breathe. My vision blurred. Without a word to anyone, I stood up so fast my chair rolled backward and crashed into the desk behind me. I didn't care. I walked straight to the bathroom, my heels clicking against the tile floor like gunshots. The moment the door swung shut behind me, I slammed my fist into the wall. The pain felt good. It felt real. It was something I could control when everything else was spinning out of my grasp. I looked at myself in the mirror. Mascara starting to run, lips trembling. A 29-year-old woman who had spent her entire life trying to earn love that was never going to come. Not amore. If you're listening to this story and you've ever felt invisible in your own family, hit that like button and subscribe, because what happened next changed everything. Drop a comment and tell me if you've ever been the family ATM. Now let me take you back to where this all really started. Growing up, as Riley Jensen, meant growing up in Scarlett's shadow, but I need you to understand something first. It wasn't always like this. When I was really young, maybe 5 or 6 years old, before Scarlett was born, I was the center of their world. Mom would braid my hair every morning and tell me I was her special girl. Dad would carry me on his shoulders and call me his little champion. I have this one memory, crystal clear, of my 6th birthday. Just the 3 of us at the kitchen table with a homemade cake. Mom had spent all afternoon decorating it with purple frosting, because purple was my favorite color. Dad had taken the day off work. They sang to me, and their eyes were full of nothing but love. Then Scarlett arrived. And at first, I was excited. I was 7 years old and I was going to be a big sister. I remember standing in the hospital room, staring at this tiny pink bundle, feeling like I had been given the most important job in the world. Protect her, love her, be her hero. For the first few years, I took that job seriously. I would read her bedtime stories. I would let her play with my toys even when she broke them. When she started preschool and cried because she missed Mom, I would hold her hand on the bus and tell her everything would be okay. I loved her so much it hurt. But somewhere along the way, something shifted. It was subtle at first. Mom started missing my parent-teacher conferences because Scarlett had a doctor's appointment. Dad stopped coming to my piano recitals because Scarlett had a dance class at the same time. When I brought home straight A's on my report card, they would glance at it and say, "That's wonderful, honey," before turning their attention back to Scarlett's artwork that was hung on every wall in the house. I told myself it was normal. She's younger. She needs more attention. You're the big sister. Be mature. Be understanding. Be invisible. I was 16 when I won the regional debate championship. I had been preparing for months, staying up late to practice my arguments, researching every possible counterpoint. The topic was climate policy, and I had built a case so airtight that even my coach was impressed. I remember standing backstage, my hands shaking with nervous energy, telling myself that this time would be different. This time they would see me. This time they would be proud. I made it through 3 rounds of competition. Each time I won, I would check my phone hoping for a text from Mom or Dad saying they were on their way. Nothing. Radio silence. When I made it to the finals, I was competing against a senior from a private school who had won 3 years in a row. Everyone said I didn't stand a chance. But I walked onto that stage and I destroyed him with logic and passion and evidence he couldn't refute. The judges deliberated for only 5 minutes before announcing my name as the winner. I stood on that stage, clutching my trophy, scanning the audience for my parents' faces. The seats they had promised to fill were empty. I saw my coach cheering. I saw Jessica from my English class recording on her phone. I saw parents I didn't know applauding politely. but the two people whose approval I desperately needed were somewhere else entirely. I found out later they were at Scarlett's soccer game. Not even a championship game. Just a regular season match that didn't matter for standings. When I got home that night, they were already asleep. I put my trophy on the shelf in my room and cried myself to sleep. The next morning at breakfast, I tried to tell them about my win. Mom was scrolling through photos of Scarlett on her phone. Dad was reading the sports section. "That's nice, honey," Mom said without looking up. "We're so proud of you." Then she showed Dad a picture of Scarlett doing a cartwheel and they both laughed. "That's nice, honey." Those 3 words became the soundtrack of my entire adolescence. When Scarlett was 14, I was 18 and getting ready to graduate high school. By then, the pattern was so established that I had stopped expecting anything different. Every soccer game of Scarlett's was a family event. Dad would leave work early, sometimes skipping important meetings. Mom would bring homemade signs with glitter and Scarlett's face printed on them. They would arrive an hour early to get good seats. After the games, we would all go out to dinner at whatever restaurant Scarlett wanted, and they would spend the entire meal talking about her goals and her assists and how she was definitely going to get a college scholarship. Meanwhile, I had been accepted to 3 universities with full academic scholarships. I had worked my ass off to make sure I wouldn't burden them financially. I had spent 4 years taking advanced placement classes, volunteering at the library, tutoring other students, building a resume that would impress any admissions committee. When my acceptance letters came, I showed them to my parents at dinner. Dad glanced at them and said, "That's wonderful. Riley, we knew you could do it." Then he turned to Scarlett and asked if she wanted to order dessert. I wish I could say that was the worst of it, but there was still prom. I had saved up for months, working part-time at a coffee shop to buy the perfect dress. I had seen it in the window of a boutique downtown. Deep emerald green with a fitted bodice and a flowing skirt that made me feel like a princess when I tried it on. It cost $300, which was more than I had ever spent on a single item of clothing in my life. But I wanted it. I needed something that was just mine. Something beautiful that would make me feel special on one of the only nights in high school that was supposed to be magical. I brought it home 2 weeks before prom and hung it carefully in my closet. I showed it to Scarlett because despite everything, I still wanted to share my excitement with my little sister. She said it was pretty. She asked if she could try it on sometime. I said no, not until after prom. I didn't want to risk anything happening to it. The morning of prom, I woke up early to start getting ready. My hair appointment was at 10, but when I opened my closet, my dress was gone. Panic shot through me like ice water. I tore through my room, checked under my bed, searched the laundry room. Nothing. Then I heard Scarlett's music playing from her room across the hall. I opened her door without knocking. There was my dress, crumpled on her floor, like dirty laundry, covered in bright pink nail polish and what looked like red wine. The bodice had a huge stain across the chest. The hem was ripped. It was completely, utterly destroyed. Scarlett was sitting on her bed, painting her toenails. Still in her pajamas, even though it was almost 9 in the morning. She looked up at me with this innocent expression that I now recognize as complete manipulation. "Oh my God, Riley. I'm so sorry. I wanted to see what it looked like on me, and I accidentally spilled some stuff on it. I was going to tell you. I swear. I couldn't even speak. I just stood there holding the ruins of my dress, shaking with rage and heartbreak and disbelief. When I finally found my voice, I asked her how she could do this. She shrugged. She actually shrugged. It was an accident. Don't be so dramatic. I went to my parents. Surely this time they would see how wrong this was. Surely this time they would hold Scarlett accountable. Dad sighed and said accidents happen. Riley. She didn't mean it. Mom offered to take me to the mall to find something else. But it was prom day. Everything in my size was already gone. I ended up borrowing a dress from Jessica that was 2 sizes too big and the wrong color for my complexion. I looked terrible in all my prom photos, and I spent the entire night trying not to cry. 2 weeks later, I came home early from my coffee shop shift and found Scarlett getting ready for a party. She was wearing my dress. My destroyed, ruined, irreparable dress. Except it wasn't destroyed anymore. The stains were gone. The tear was mended. She had somehow gotten it professionally cleaned and repaired. And she looked beautiful in it. When Mom saw her, She gasped and said, "Oh, honey, you look like a princess. Where did you get that gorgeous dress?" Scarlett smiled and said, "I found it at a thrift store." "Can you believe someone would just give this away?" Mom told her she had such a good eye for fashion. Dad gave her $40 for the party and told her to have fun. I stood there in the kitchen doorway watching this scene unfold. Invisible as always. Scarlett's eyes met mine for just a second. And she smirked. That's when I knew. It had never been an accident. She had taken my dress on purpose. She had destroyed it on purpose. And she had kept it for herself all along. And my parents would never, ever believe me if I told them the truth. I moved out the day I turned 18. I had been counting down for years. I found a tiny studio apartment on the other side of town. Barely bigger than my childhood bedroom. But it was mine. The rent was $700 a month, which was almost half my paycheck from my full-time job at an insurance company. But I didn't care. For the first time in my life, I could breathe without feeling like I was suffocating under the weight of being invisible. Freedom. I thought. Finally, freedom. But freedom came with a price I didn't expect to pay. The first call came 3 weeks after I moved out. It was Scarlett, crying so hard I could barely understand her. "Riley, I need help. I can't make rent this month. My roommate moved out without paying her half, and the landlord is threatening to evict me. I need $500 or I'm going to be homeless. Please. You're the only one I can count on." He hesitated. $500 was a lot of money for me. But she was my sister. And despite everything, despite the dress and the years of being ignored, I loved her. I told myself that this was what family did. Family helped each other. So I transferred the money. A week later, I saw on Instagram that Scarlett had gone to a concert. Front row tickets. The tickets alone probably cost more than the rent money I had sent her. When I called her about it, she got defensive. "Oh my God, Riley. Those tickets were a gift from a friend. Why are you stalking my social media? Why can't you just be happy for me?" Then it was a car repair. Her Honda Civic needed a new transmission. $800. I sent it. 2 weeks later, her Instagram showed her at the beach in a new bikini with a designer bag I recognized from a store window downtown. Price tag $1,500. Then it was medical bills. She needed to see a specialist for some mysterious stomach issues. Insurance wouldn't cover it all. Could I help with the copays? $400. I sent it. The next day, she posted about getting her nails done at an expensive salon. $60 manicure. Every single time. I would confront her. Every single time. She would have an explanation. The bag was on sale. The vacation was planned months ago before the medical issues. The nails were a gift card. And every single time, I would feel guilty for questioning her. Maybe I was being paranoid. Maybe I was just jealous, like she always said I was. Then Dad started calling. "Riley, I hate to ask, but we're struggling with some bills this month. Your mother's hours got cut at work, and we need about $1,000 to cover the mortgage. Just this once? We'll pay you back." I sent the money. They never paid me back. 3 months later, Dad bought a new fishing boat. It wasn't expensive. He told me when I asked. Just a little boat for the lake. He deserved something nice after working hard all his life. Didn't he? Mom needed money for car repairs. The transmission was going out and they couldn't afford to fix it. $700. I sent it. 2 weeks later, I drove past their house and saw a brand new garden shed in the backyard. When I asked about it, Mom said it was a gift from a neighbor who was moving and didn't want to take it with them. I didn't believe her. But what could I do? Call my own mother a liar? The pattern continued for 3 years. 3 years of requests that became demands. 3 years of emergencies that turned into luxuries. 3 years of watching my family live comfortably, while I ate ramen noodles for dinner 5 nights a week because I couldn't afford groceries after sending them money. I started keeping a spreadsheet about 2 years in. At first, it was just to keep track for myself. To see if I was being crazy, or if this was really as bad as it felt. Every transaction. Every date. Every excuse. The numbers climbed higher and higher. 10,000. 20,000. 30,000. By the time my 29th birthday rolled around, I had given them $50,000. $50,000 that should have been a down payment on a house. $50,000 that should have been my emergency fund. my retirement savings, my security blanket. Instead, it had gone to fund Scarlett's lifestyle and my parents' comfort, while I worked overtime and skipped vacations and drove a car with a broken air conditioner because I couldn't afford to fix it. But every time I thought about saying no, every time I practiced the words in my head, I would get a phone call. Dad's voice would be disappointed. Riley, I thought we raised you better than this. Family takes care of family. Or Mom would guilt trip me. After everything we did for you, we put a roof over your head for 18 years. We fed you and clothed you and loved you. And this is how you repay us, by abandoning us when we need you most. And then there was Scarlett. Her manipulations were more subtle but somehow more effective. She would call me crying, telling me how hard her life was. How she was trying so hard to make it on her own but everything kept going wrong. How she was so grateful to have a big sister like me who understood her and supported her. How everyone else in her life let her down, but I was the only one she could count on. She made me feel like a hero, like I was saving her, like I mattered. I craved that feeling of mattering so desperately that I ignored all the warning signs. I ignored the Instagram posts that contradicted her sob stories. I ignored the fact that she never paid me back. I ignored the sick feeling in my stomach every time I transferred money, because for those few moments when she thanked me, when she told me I was the best sister in the world, I felt seen. I felt valued. I felt loved. Looking back now, I can see how pathetic that was. How desperate I was for scraps of affection from people who only saw me as a resource to exploit. But when you've been starving for love your entire life, even poisoned crumbs taste like a feast. The breaking point came on my 29th birthday. I had actually made plans for myself that day. Jessica and a few coworkers were going to take me out for dinner after work. Nothing fancy, just appetizers and drinks at a local bar. But I was looking forward to it. I had been looking forward to it for weeks. For once, I was going to celebrate my birthday with people who actually wanted to celebrate me. But at 2 p.m, as I was finishing up a project at work, my phone buzzed with that message from Jessica. The photo that changed everything. The evening after I saw that birthday photo, I texted Jessica and canceled our dinner plans. I told her I wasn't feeling well. She knew I was lying. She had seen the look on my face when I got that message. But she didn't push. She just sent back a heart emoji and told me to call if I needed anything. I didn't go home. I couldn't face my empty apartment with its secondhand furniture and bare walls. I couldn't sit alone in that space that was supposed to represent my independence while my family celebrated Scarlett with my money and my dreams. Instead, I drove aimlessly for an hour, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white, tears streaming down my face so hard I could barely see the road. Eventually, I ended up at a bar called The Anchor on the east side of town. It was the kind of place where nobody knew me, where I could disappear into the dim lighting and aged wood and pretend I was someone else. Someone whose family loved them. Someone who mattered. I ordered whiskey. I wasn't much of a drinker. Usually I stuck to wine or beer. But that night, I needed something that would burn going down. Something that would hurt just enough to distract me from the deeper pain. The bartender. A woman in her 50s with kind eyes and graying hair pulled back in a ponytail. Set the glass in front of me and studied my face. "Rough day," she asked. "You could say that," I replied, my voice barely above a whisper. She nodded like she understood and moved on to help another customer. I was grateful she didn't pry. I sat there nursing my drink, staring at my reflection in the mirror behind the bar. I looked exhausted. Dark circles under my eyes from too many nights working late to earn overtime pay. Cheap blazer from Target because I couldn't afford anything nicer. Hair that needed a trim I kept putting off because the salon cost $60 I didn't have. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. For the first time in 3 years, I forced myself to really look at every single transaction. Not just a glance. Not just a quick check of the balance. I went through every line item, every transfer, every payment, tracing the patterns I had been too afraid or too blind to see before. Rent for Scarlett's apartment. Every month, $700. That was $8,400 a year. Times 3 years, $25,000. $200 just in rent alone. Then there were the emergencies. Car repair $800. Medical bills $400. Textbooks $300. Application fees $200. Utility shutoff $500. Except I now knew from Instagram that these weren't emergencies at all. The car repair happened the same month. She posted beach vacation photos in Florida. The medical bills coincided with her getting a designer bag. The utility shutoff was the same week she went to a music festival. I kept scrolling. Money to dad for the mortgage. Money to mom for car repairs. Money for Christmas gifts they said they couldn't afford. Money for home repairs that turned out to be renovations they wanted but didn't need. Money. 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 Flowing out of my account like water through a broken dam. I created a new note on my phone and started adding it up. This time, I included everything. Not just the big emergencies, but the small requests too. Can you Venmo me $40 for gas? Can you cover this $100 dinner because I'm short this week? Can you buy those groceries because my food stamps didn't come through? All the little requests that seemed manageable and at the moment, but added up to an avalanche over time. The total came to $53,472. I stared at that number until it stopped looking like numbers and started looking like years of my life. Years of waking up at 6 in the morning and not getting home until 8 at night. Years of telling my friends I couldn't go out because I was saving money when the truth was I had nothing left to save. Years of eating rice and beans and discount bread because after I paid my rent and my bills and sent money to my family, I had maybe $100 left for food for the entire month. $53,000 could have been a down payment on a house. Could have been a new car to replace my 15-year-old Honda with 200,000 miles on it. Could have been a master's degree. Could have been financial security. Could have been freedom. Instead, it had been traded for crumbs of affection from people who didn't even remember my birthday. I ordered another whiskey. Then another. By the fourth drink, my hands had steadied enough to open my laptop. I was past the point of being drunk, but not quite to the point of being sober. I was in that strange in-between space where clarity and rage coexisted perfectly. I opened Excel and created a proper spreadsheet. Every transaction, every date, every amount, every excuse they had given me, every Instagram post that proved they had been lying, every broken promise to pay me back. I color-coded it. Green for requests that might have been legitimate. Yellow for suspicious requests. Red for outright lies. The sheet was almost entirely red and yellow. Then I started writing the email. I wrote it and deleted it and wrote it again 5 times. The first version was too angry. Too emocional. Too easy to dismiss. The second version was too cold. Too detached. It didn't convey the depth of what they had done. The third version was too long. The fourth was too short. The fifth version was perfect. Dear David and Susan Jensen. I sat with those words for a long moment. Dear! Was that the right salutation for people who had forgotten my birthday? For people who had treated me like an ATM for 3 years, but I kept it. I wanted them to see how calm I was. How rational. How this wasn't an emotional outburst they could dismiss as me being dramatic. As of today, all financial support for Scarlett Jensen and any family-related expenses will cease permanently. I have attached a detailed breakdown of every dollar I have contributed over the past 3 years, totaling $53,472. I attached the spreadsheet, all 37 pages of it. This decision is final and non-negotiable. I will not be responding to any calls or messages regarding this matter. Do not come to my home. Do not come to my workplace. Do not contact my friends or colleagues. Any attempt to manipulate, guilt, or coerce me into reversing this decision will result in me blocking your numbers and considering a restraining order if necessary. I paused there. Was that too harsh? Would they think I was being dramatic? Then I remembered the photo of Scarlett with my laptop. I remembered the dress. I remembered 16-year-old me standing alone on that stage with my debate trophy. I remembered every single time I had been erased and overlooked and taken for granted. I kept writing. I need you to understand something. This is not about the money. Although $53,000 is a significant amount to lose, this is about respect. This is about being treated like a human being instead of a resource. This is about the fact that you threw Scarlett a birthday party on my birthday with a gift I had saved for over a year to buy for myself. This is about every achievement you ignored, every milestone you forgot, every time you made me feel like I didn't matter. I have spent my entire life trying to earn your love. I have sacrificed my financial security, my mental health, and my own dreams to support a family that has never supported me back. I am done. I am done being invisible. I am done being used. I am done setting myself on fire to keep you warm. You raised me to believe that family takes care of family. You were right, but that goes both ways. And you have never, not once, taken care of me the way I have taken care of you. Scarlett is a 24-year-old adult. She is more than capable of supporting herself if you stop enabling her. She is more than capable of paying her own rent and buying her own things and living within her means. The reason she hasn't had to learn these skills is because I have been subsidizing her lifestyle while you have been cheering her on. As for the two of you, you are grown adults with jobs and resources. You do not need my money. You never needed my money. You wanted it because it was easier than making hard choices or setting boundaries with Scarlett. I hope the laptop was worth it. I hope every designer bag and beach vacation and fancy dinner was worth losing your daughter. Sincerely, Riley Jensen. I read it 3 times. Then I attached the spreadsheet and hovered my cursor over the send button. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. My hands were shaking again. Every instinct in my body screamed at me to close the laptop and pretend this night never happened. To go home and go to sleep, and wake up tomorrow and continue being the good daughter, the reliable sister, the invisible hero who asked for nothing in return. But then I thought about 30 more years of this. 40 more years. A lifetime of being erased. A lifetime of sacrificing everything and receiving nothing. A lifetime of watching Scarlett get everything I had ever wanted while my parents smiled and told me, "That's nice, honey," whenever I tried to share my own life with them. I clicked send. The email disappeared from my outbox. For several seconds, I just sat there staring at the screen, waiting to feel something. Regret. Panic. Relief. But all I felt was numb. I closed my laptop and finished my drink. The bartender came back over. "Another one?" she asked. "No," I said. "I think I'm done." She smiled. "Good. Whatever you're going through. More whiskey isn't going to help." I left a $20 tip and walked out into the cool night air. My phone was already buzzing in my pocket, but I didn't look at it. Not yet. I drove home slowly, carefully. Even though the alcohol had mostly worn off by then, when I finally got to my apartment, I plugged my phone in without checking my notifications and went straight to bed. I didn't sleep. I lay in the dark staring at the ceiling, my mind racing through every possible scenario. Would they apologize? Would they be angry? Would they realize what they had done? Or would they double down and blame me for being selfish and cruel? I didn't know. But for the first time in my life, I didn't care. Whatever happened next. I had drawn a line. I had stood up for myself. I had said no. And it felt terrifying and liberating in equal measure. The next morning started at 6:15 when my phone began vibrating so hard it fell off my nightstand. I picked it up and saw 17 missed calls, 23 text messages, 6 voicemails. I made coffee and sat down to read them one by one. Dad's voicemail came first. "Riley, what the hell are you doing? Scarlett is hysterical. She's being evicted from her apartment because you cut her off. Call me back right now. This is not how family behaves." Mom's voicemail was worse. "Riley Ann Jensen, this is the most selfish thing you have ever done. After everything we've done for you, after we raised you and put a roof over your head, you would do this to your own sister. You've ruined her life. I hope you're happy." Scarlett's voicemail was pure venom. "You're such a jealous bitch. You've always hated me because I got the attention you never could. You're pathetic. You're alone, and you'll always be alone because nobody will ever love someone as selfish as you. I'll never forgive you for this." Then came the group chat messages from extended family members I barely knew. Aunts and uncles and cousins I hadn't seen in years suddenly had opinions about what a terrible daughter and sister I was. How dare I abandon family? How dare I be so cruel? How dare I cut off a young woman just trying to make it in the world? I turned off my phone notifications and went to work. I didn't respond to a single message. Not one. At 2:30 that afternoon, our receptionist called my desk. "Riley, there are some people here to see you. They say they're your parents. They're pretty upset." I walked to the lobby with my head high. David and Susan Jensen stood there looking like they'd aged 10 years overnight. Mom's hair was a mess. Dad's face was red and blotchy. When they saw me, Mom started shouting immediately. There you are. Do you have any idea what you've done? Your sister is losing her apartment. She has nowhere to go. How could you be so heartless? Dad stepped forward. I didn't raise you to be this cruel. Riley, we need to talk about this. You need to fix this. I looked at them calmly. Fix what? Exactly. Fix the fact that I've been your family ATM for 3 years. Fix the fact that you threw Scarlett a birthday party on my birthday with a gift I had been saving for. Fix the fact that you've never once acknowledged my existence unless you needed money. That's not true, Mom said. But her voice wavered. We love you. We've always loved you. Then where were you at my debate championship? Where were you at my college graduation? Where were you on any of my birthdays for the past 10 years? Before they could answer, Scarlett burst through the front door. Her makeup was smeared. Her hair was in a messy ponytail. She looked genuinely distressed for the first time in her life. You liar. You're making all of this up because you're jealous. You've never been happy for me. Not once. I walked to the conference room and pulled up my laptop to the projector. Within seconds, my screen was displayed on the white wall for everyone in the office to see. I pulled up the spreadsheet. Bank statements. Instagram screenshots of Scarlett's trips and shopping hauls. Text messages begging for emergency money, followed by posts about concerts and new clothes. This is the truth, I said, my voice steady and cold. This is $50,000 I spent supporting the family star. And this is my savings account. The one that should have had enough for a down payment on a house. Instead, it has $3,000. The office was silent. Even the hum of computers seemed to stop. Dad's face went white. Mom covered her mouth. Scarlett looked like she might throw up. I have been offered a promotion. I continued. A transfer to our Boston office. I leave in 4 weeks. And I will never, ever come back to be your ATM again. This is my life. And I'm going to live it on my terms. I closed my laptop, grabbed my bag, and walked past all of them without looking back. Behind me, I heard Mom start to cry. But I didn't stop. Not this time. For 2 weeks, my phone continued to blow up. I blocked most of the numbers. The ones I didn't block, I let go to voicemail. I had said everything I needed to say. Now it was time for action. Not words. Then one evening, 3 weeks after that confrontation, my phone rang with Dad's number. I almost didn't answer. But something made me pick up. Maya. His voice was quiet. Broken. I know you probably don't want to talk to me, but I need you to know that I'm sorry. Really. Truly sorry. I didn't realize how bad it had gotten. How much we'd hurt you. I sat down on my couch and said nothing. Your mother and I have been talking. We've been blind. We've been terrible parents to you. We always thought you were strong enough to handle everything. So we gave all our attention to Scarlett because she seemed like she needed it more. But that's not an excuse. We were wrong. Words are easy. Dad, I said finally. Actions are what matter. I know. That's why Scarlett and I are starting family therapy next week. And I'm helping her find a real job. A stable one. And I'm going to teach her how to budget and take care of herself. She needs to grow up. We should have made her grow up years ago. I felt something crack in my chest. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But maybe the beginning of something like hope. 4 weeks later, I moved to Boston. My new apartment had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the harbor. I could afford nice furniture for the first time in my adult life. I could go out to dinner without checking my bank account first. I could breathe. A year passed. A year of therapy for me. A year of learning to set boundaries. A year of discovering who Riley Jensen actually was when she wasn't being crushed under the weight of everyone else's expectations. I made real friends who valued me for who I was, not what I could give them. I got promoted again. I started dating someone who treated me like I mattered. On my 30th birthday, my phone rang. It was Dad on video call. He was sitting in what looked like a home office, surrounded by half-built furniture and tools. He looked tired but genuinely happy. Happy birthday. Maya. He smiled. I wanted to show you something. This is my new workshop. I've started a small furniture business. Custom pieces. It's not making much yet, but it's mine. And I wanted you to know that Scarlett got a full-time position at the pharmacy near our house. She's been working there for 8 months now. She's taking accounting classes at night. She's really trying. Riley. She really is. I felt tears prick my eyes. That's good. Dad. I'm proud of her. And you? She wants to talk to you. Not today. Not if you're not ready. But when you are. She's written you letters. Lots of them. She's been too scared to send them. Later that day, I checked my email. There was a message from Scarlett. The subject line just said, "I'm sorry." Inside was 3 pages of genuine, raw apology. She took responsibility. She acknowledged her manipulation. She didn't make excuses. At the end, she wrote, "I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't deserve it. But I want you to know that I'm trying to become someone worth having as a sister. I'm trying to become someone you could be proud of." That evening, my friends threw me a surprise birthday party in my apartment. Real friends who had remembered without being reminded, who had pooled their money to get me a gift I actually wanted, who celebrated me just for existing. As I stood by my window later that night, looking out at the city lights, reflecting off the harbor, I realized something. I wasn't trying to prove anything anymore. I wasn't trying to earn love or recognition. I had created my own value. I had built my own life. And it was beautiful. Was cutting off my family the right choice? Was standing up for myself worth the pain it caused? Here's what I know. You can't set yourself on fire to keep others warm. You can't pour from an empty cup. And you can't love people who only see you as a resource to exploit. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is walk away. And sometimes, walking away is what finally makes people see what they lost. Did I do the right thing? Would you have done the same? Drop a comment below and let me know your story. And if this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe, because you deserve to hear more stories about people who chose themselves. What would you have done in my situation? I really want to know.